Well, Sanji really sticks by his guns in this chapter as far as, you know, his code of not hitting women, and we also get to see Kumadori and Nami facing off as well. One Piece, chapter 403, Mr. Chivalry. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and CP9 agents of the Nerd Nation. Almost forgot what I was going to say there. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed and now kind of facing off one-on-one and then two-on-two and guys are switching and tag-teaming in tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter, of course, saw us with really the ending. We know that Khalifa and Sanji are going and facing off against one another. Certainly, Chopper has been sent on a mission to help to free the Sniper King and of course Zoro, who are handcuffed together and running for their lives from Kaku and from Jabra. And obviously, they both have their really cool wolf and giraffe forms. So anyway, that is where the chapter left off, and the chapter picks up over here. We actually wind up focusing on, for about the first half of the chapter, the fight between Khalifa and Sanji. And I knew this was going to be an interesting one because Sanji does not hit women. He doesn't beat up girls. He just doesn't. It's against his moral code. And I can respect him for that. I absolutely can because, you know, I feel the same way. But at any rate, when we get into it over here, what winds up happening is it starts off and he's just like, you know what? Khalifa says, hey, as it stands right now, Robin is on her way to the gates of justice, or as I like to call it, you know, her own personal hell, or it's more like hell. And Sanji's like, I know that. You don't think I know that? Don't think I'm going to go easy on you. I need that damn key. And she's like, listen, being loud with me is not going to do anything, right? And he's like, don't think I'll go easy on you. And he's just trying to threaten, basically. It's idle threats, empty threats, because we know he's not going to go and beat her up. So she says, no, that's fine. Let's get going. And she's, boom, shave. And then comes at him and goes to kick him. Well, he winds up actually blocking it, you know. And I think she's fairly impressed with his speed and the actual, you know, strength that he does have. But nonetheless, though, still, if he's not going to fight back, he's not going to be able to get the upper hand in it. And Khalifa, I might say, too, you know, you haven't seen a whole lot of her up until now, but boy, is she damn sexy. I'm actually working on a picture of her right now that we should have here at the end of this video. So if not, it'll be in tomorrow's. But nonetheless, though, as she's looking very just sort of like this sexy, sultry secretary, throwing kicks and everything else at Sanji. Sanji winds up going and actually kind of getting he goes and he says, oh yeah, you know, one hit, you know, and he didn't even hit her. It looked like she dodged it, and then she goes and she's like, boom, just nails him right in the nuts, right, the great equalizer. and she goes, now that's a solid hit, and he's down clutching his nuts, you know. So then she winds up going and doing the moonwalk move, you know. And he winds up being able to it looks like to roll away or to dodge the actual move. And then he winds up going in and coming at her and actually pinning her to the ground with his foot. Now, he doesn't actually kick her, but he actually pins her down. And he's like, I pinned you down. You lost. Give me the key. He's just trying to get the key, right? And without beating her up, you know. And then she goes and she's, bam, finger pistol right in his freaking leg, and then nails him with a tempest kick, you know. So Sanji's getting beat all up and down all over the place, and it's unfortunate to see because you go and you see him, and I truly do. I admire him, and I admire him actually standing up for something that he believes in and everything else, and as far as not kicking or not hitting a woman, but of course he only really does use kicks. You know, with the exception of on the sea train when he actually used some knives and what have you. But, you know, nonetheless, though, it's demoralizing to see Sanji get beat around. However, what helps soften the burden is that he's getting beat around by an incredibly sexy hot chick. So that helped out for me anyway. But as I said, you know, it just hurts seeing him get beat up like that. So she winds up going, and he comes at her, you know, with a kick, and it must be a half-hearted one because obviously he doesn't connect, and she winds up grabbing his leg. And then she says, she goes, if you can't, now we're getting serious, right? This is life or death. I wouldn't want you to go easy on me just because I'm a woman anyway. I have orders to kill you. And we still haven't even seen her devil fruit power, right? But anyway, she catches the kick, and then she says, if you can't block this move, you'll be dead, right? And then, boom, it takes us away from the action, and it takes us back down to the basement or wherever it was where Nami was fighting the guy with the big hair, Kumadori. And I don't know if the way it says, you know, with the YOI, you know, I picture him like kind of like chanting whenever he sees it. And I'll know when I see it in the anime, but obviously this review will be long past since then. But the way it looks in there, it looks like he just sort of comes at you like this crazy jackal, and he's like, I don't know if that actually is or not, but that's sort of what I picture. And she winds up, it starts out though, and she's actually gotten away from him. She believes that she's kind of giving him the slip, and as she's kind of ducking around a corner and looking for him, all of a sudden he goes and appears behind her, and then winds up actually going and strangling her with his hair. He's got her pinned, he's got her grabbed, and then he starts reciting like this poem, you know, of how he's going to choke her, or if he should kill her, or if he should if he should spear her, and this poem, and when you get to the afterlife, tell my mother that and I'm like, what the hell is with this guy? Anyway, Nami is pretty much foobarred, and when all hope seems about lost for Nami, who's also looking very cute in her outfit, her little crop top and miniskirt, you know, she's got nothing left. I mean, she's getting choked out basically, and then all of a sudden our boy Chopper comes in and he's boom, you know, hits him with one of those cloven hoof moves or whatever, cloven cross I think it was, and just nails him, you know, and knocks him out of the way. And then, you know, Nami, are you okay? Are you okay? And we know that Chopper was obviously sent, you know, to go and find the number 2 key that of course Zoro and the Sniper King need to be freed from their imprisonment to one another with the you know, with the sea prism cuffs. Anyway, he got there just in time, wound up saving her. And then he's like, you know, we got to beat this, because she's like, let's get out of here. And he goes, no, we got to beat this guy and get his key. And Nami's like, oh, what? This key? You know, pulls it out of her cleavage or whatever. And he's like, what the hell? And she goes, yeah, I lifted it from him a while ago. I just couldn't get away from him, you know? So as she's like, let's get out of here. And he goes, what's the number on the key? And she says, 3. And he says, well, that's no good, you know? So as she's asking him what the whole number system is about, all of a sudden, just shit goes down and from up above. The floor or the ceiling collapses, right? And collapses in on him. And who do they wind up seeing in the rubble as the dust clears? But Sanji. But it doesn't look like Sanji. It looks like this weird sort of Cupid doll version of Sanji. I really don't know what the deal is with it here. And they wind up saying that his face is round and smooth like glass. So the only thing that, like a porcelain doll, so the only thing I can assume is that that's part of Khalifa's devil fruit power, that she somehow has the power of the glass fruit or some shit like that, where she can basically go and when she attacks or uses that power, she can maybe turn things into, you know, I guess like a smooth surface, like a glass doll. I don't know. They didn't explain it right. Sanji's still talking and breathing. He's messed up though. Nami goes and is like, what the hell? And Nami goes, because he's like, I'm so sorry, I couldn't get the key. And she's like, yeah, hold on a second. She's like, you were fighting that woman, right? You're pretty soft on women, aren't you? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't get the key. She's like, I didn't ask you that. And she goes, and he's all messed up and bleeding and stuff, you know, and she's hitting him with the climb baton, you know, and talking about his chivalry and everything else. She's like, your damn chivalry is going to get you killed, you know. Couldn't you just make an exception? He's like, no, you know, it was drummed into my head from the time I was a kid, being very young, not to kick women, not to hit women, you know. And then there's this part where actually he goes and he's laying there, and you just see this great shot of him on the side, and he just said, even if it kills me, I won't kick a woman, you know? And like I said, you really got to, you know, on one hand you think, okay, well, that's kind of a stupid rule, but on the other hand, we have to have morals and rules and personal values set in place, because when you start breaking them, you know, and you start making excuses to break them, then that's when things go downhill. Well, normally I don't do that, but I made an exception because I didn't like this person, or because this woman was as big as a man, so I thought it was okay to punch her in the face. You don't start making excuses for it, and I really like that he kind of stuck to his guns on it. Anyway, what winds up happening, though, is Nami goes, and she actually says, number one, she calls him a fool for doing what he did, and saying, you know, is running something that you can do too, or is that part of your chivalry crap? Because there's no point in just dying for no reason. She goes, I'll tell you what, I'll take care of her, and she's looking up through the hole at Khalifa, looking all hot up there. And, you know, you know, obviously Chopper's going to give him some medical attention, Sanji some medical attention over there. And she's like, you know, I'll take care of him. So then she winds up saying something nice to him, though, you know, along the lines of, I really do respect you for what you did. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, this means that you've pronounced your love to me. And Chopper's like, she didn't say that, dude, you know, keep it in your pants. Anyway, she goes and looks up at Khalifa, and she's like, I won't go easy on you. And Khalifa's like, good, then, you know, we got something in common, because neither will I. So we know that there's going to be a crazy-ass cat fight between two hotties coming up. And then all of a sudden, Kumadori goes and comes out. He's like, yo, don't forget about me. Halt thee, yo, this and that. And Chopper's like, I'll take care of this dude, man. And he goes and hits him. boom, with the Cloven Cross or Cloven Hoof move or whatever the case is. So these two particular CP9 members don't seem too formidable to me, but certainly, like I said, I'm sure it's going to be a back and forth affair. Anyway, that was the bulk of the chapter and the majority of the chapter. Then we wind up seeing the last few pages, we actually see Luffy, and when we left him in the last chapter, he was looking across at the Gates of Justice, and he had to cross, obviously, this portion of sea. And we know that Luffy can't swim, obviously. But anyway, we see him futilely trying to paddle across in some kind of paddle boat, and he's drowning, and he's gurgling. Anyway, and Chimney and that other little dude, I forget his name, go in there like, what are you doing? No, come on this way. And he's like, no, I got to get across here. And they're like, no, you're going to die, you know. And the bottom line is they wind up telling him, listen, we overheard this guy talking about, you know, laughing or cackling about this secret passage, so we kind of followed him, you know. So then they show the kind of little flashback, and the guy that was cackling was that little turd burglar, Spandam. And it was funny because they actually thought that Spandam was Lucci's subordinate, you know, because Lucci obviously, you know, he's all business, man. You know, he's all business. He got a little goatee kicking and everything. He's all business, and he just want to kill people and take care of shit. He looks like just a cold, dead-eyed killer, you know. And Spandam's all like hopped up and crazy and everything like that, but anyway, they wind up taking Luffy down into the secret passage, and there's these huge steel doors with the world government insignia on it, right? And they're like, oh man, you know, how are we going to get past? We're going to need a key, right? And Luffy's like, hold on a second, stand back, guys. And he like puts his thumb in his mouth. And I don't know if he's sucking on his thumb or he's biting his thumb or whatever. But then all of a sudden he goes, and it happens off camera, I guess you'd say, or off screen. He says, he goes, Gear Third! And I'm like, what the hell is it? Gear Third? What are you talking about? What's that all about, you know? And then you go and you just see, there we go. You see him go and bite his little finger over there, or what it looks like, puts his finger in the mouth, and then of course he says, of course, you know, Gear Third, and then all of a sudden you see like the Tower of Justice, and you just kabam, you know, and they're like, okay. Then you come back to over here, and the door's open, and they're like, oh, he did it, you know, and this is great, and they're like, oh, he's like, I'm going, huh? How come you turned into a little kid? And then Luffy's a little kid. So at first I was looking and I was thinking, what did he do? Gear 30, like turned into a little kid, got so small that he could like crawl through the hole or something like that. So I don't know if they're going to explain what that kabam or that kaboom was. I don't know if he was able to like inflate up his body and then like create like a forward explosion or something, but then all that releasing of like pressure and air and energy and power somehow made him small and shrunk him down into a little kid. I don't know how long he's going to be a little kid for. Anyway, it was kind of cool, though, to see that, because obviously just 10 chapters ago, or 10 or 12 chapters ago, we wound up actually seeing him kind of put it into gear and go with Gear Second, and now, obviously, this Gear Third is kind of cool. So I wonder how many different forms or how many different availabilities he's going to have as far as gear powers go, you know. That is how the chapter ends off, though. And my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on Sanji, and even in the face of death, really standing fast on his morals and his values? And again, there's no right or wrong answer, because some people think that, hey, listen, you know, you're in a time of war or a time of life or death situation. You do what you got to do to survive. And I'm very much in that camp with a lot of things, but there's other things that I've been pretty good about sticking to my guns to, and sometimes have been pretty pig-headed about, I guess you'd almost say, because of the fact that I stuck to something that I said I was going to do or not going to do, you know. So, for instance, with these reviews, you know, many people have messaged me, and I don't get as many now, but you know, why don't you just catch up and do the normal stuff? I really like your personality and the shit you come up with and your jokes, but you need to review all the current stuff now. You can't be doing, why are you reviewing chapters that are 5 years old, 10 years old, you know? And but it's a stubborn thing, you know. I guess I want to go through it this way, and this is the way that I feel is the right way to do it. And I feel that you know, that since no one else has done this, it's definitely a neat, unique thing, as opposed to just kind of doing what everybody else does, but trying to be unique, you know, trying to set yourself out amongst the crowd. And eventually I'll get to that point. But certainly I'll have a lot of experience under my belt when I do so. But I know that was a long, convoluted question, but try to answer it in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, nation.
Damn, that's a sexy-ass secretary. Hey, remember to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe to my other channels as well.